Okay, yes, maestro.
Een avondvullend ballet componeren is tegenwoordig een uitzondering. Speciaal voor Mata Hari maakte Tariq O'Regan een totaal nieuwe compositie. Hij is een van de meest toonaangevende componisten van dit moment en ik ben benieuwd hoe zijn proces is verlopen. What part of Mata Hari grabbed you? What part of her personality and her life and her travels inspired you?
I think the main aspect of Mata Hari that fascinates me is the fact that her identity is born of a sort of 19th century colonial endeavour, and that has a very dark side to it. The extravagance of her character that we know and the elements of Indonesian culture that she chooses to cherry pick stem from a very, very complicated and difficult time. She lives a hybrid life at the point at which she begins to take interest in the surroundings and is very much connected with really, what was going on in the world at that time. And when she then comes back to Europe, she doesn't bring back an authentic vision of what she sees. She brings back her own fiction. Yeah. And that is what she is. She's a fiction of that time, and it's a very, very dark vision, but it's surrounded by glamour and light and power and all the wondrousness that comes with it. The First World War is not disconnected from that period of colonialism, and it's that First World War in which, in the end, entraps her, her character. And I think that, for me, was really what drove the musical language, which it's a hybrid musical language. It's compelling in terms of it's fast, it's a lot of fast music, it's rhythmic music, but the tonality is both very, if you like, positive and negative concurrently at the same time. We're always in a sort of middle ground.
Matthew Rowe is muzikaal leider van het Nationale Ballet en chef-dirigent van het balletorkest. Hij is de verbindende schakel tussen de compositie, het orkest en de dansers. Het orkest is pas 2 weken geleden begonnen met instuderen en er zijn maar 2 dagen beschikbaar voor het orkest om samen met de dansers te repeteren.
They've been rehearsing a lot with the pianist without me, but gradually it's important for me to come in and start conducting so that I can feel the tempi that the dancers need, and I can then bring that to the orchestra rehearsals, and then I do the same back the other way. So when we're doing orchestra rehearsals, I then go back to the studio and think, oh yes, so that's going to slightly have an effect on how this little moment is.
Tijdens de voorstelling volgen de scènes elkaar razendsnel op. Bijna alsof het één lange scène is. Wat betekent dit voor het componeren van de muziek?
The way the libretto is structured, and especially also the way that discussions happened with the design team, was there was no longer a need for blackouts and firm scene changes. In other words, the music doesn't always have to come to a stop for a scene change and then start again. What that means is you basically have 2 different kinds of interaction from one scene to the next. Jump cuts, which are very hard because you're jumping from one tempo to the next, you're suddenly cutting, or transitions, which are overlap transitions. In other words, almost like crossfading on a mixing desk. One theme or one kind of music is fading out as another one comes in. Those are probably 2 of the hardest things for any musician to do, but when you're working with, an orchestra of this size, 70, 80 people, it's incredibly hard to pull off. And having just heard them, run through it for the first time, I was extremely impressed with the work that's been done.
De muziek van Mata Hari is nieuw gecomponeerd. Dat gebeurt bijna nooit meer in ballet. Welke uitdagingen geeft dat aan een dirigent en zijn orkest?
It's an enormous privilege and incredibly exciting for us all to discover what Tariq has written and his amazing use of colour in the orchestra. The sound worlds he conjures up are really beautiful and really stunning, and we get transported from Indonesia to the Moulin Rouge. It seems so easy for him to do it, and it's really fun.